And we welcome you to Day 2, Game 1 of the 2019 NISC, the National Invitational Softball Championship from TC Colorado Field in Fort Collins. Another beautiful day, sunshine overhead, and we start with an elimination game. Liberty and Iowa State, two teams that lost so frustrating of games yesterday. In fact, Iowa State lost to LMU 6-5. They were a strike away from a win. They had not trailed until Loyola Marymount scored 2 runs in the 7th inning and would win 6-5. For Liberty, the Flames had an early 6-0 lead. After the game was tied, they regained the advantage 8-6 in the 6th inning, and they too were a strike away from winning before UTA scored 3 runs in the 7th for a 9-8 win. So one of these teams will be going home after today's game. Liberty, the visiting team, 40-21. Here is the lineup for their head coach, Dot Richardson. Autumn Bishop leads off at first base, hit her first 2 home runs of the season yesterday. Amber Bishop bats second. Then it's Jacqueline Amader, who wasn't here yesterday. We'll explain. She's in left, batting third. Sarah Robertson, the shortstop, bats fourth. Alexis Eric, the DP, bats fifth. Then it's Caitlin McFarland-Kenching. Danae Griffin at third base. Madison Vi still in the lineup, but she bats eighth and right. And Jasmine Click in center field bats ninth. And in the circle for Iowa State, Savannah Sanders, 6-9 on the year, an earned run average of 3.83. She's thrown an even 95 innings this season, struck out 48, and opponents hitting .252 against her. So two teams with gut-wrenching losses yesterday were underway. One pitch and a smash from Autumn Bishop to Simpson, and a ground out begins Game 1. So after a couple of home runs yesterday, Autumn Bishop is retired. Here's her sister, Amber, who also homered yesterday. It was her 13th, 355 average, and 38 runs batted in. We had strong winds throughout the course of Game 2 yesterday. Not near as much of a factor today, but you see the bright sunshine in Fort Collins. And that one misses a little bit low. For Iowa State yesterday in the circle, Emma Hyland went the distance, allowed 9 hits and 6 runs, 2 earned. And turning it over to Savannah Sanders here this morning. Spun that pitch in there for a strike. Sanders more of a finesse pitcher than is Hyland. She'll work with a changeup. Behind in the count, 2-1 to Amber Bishop. And that one just a little bit low. Our plate umpire here in Game 1 of Day 2 is Tina Comerford. Brian Crochet at first. John Bartley umpires at third base. That's upstairs. That's ball 4. And the first base runner is a walk to Amber Bishop here in the first inning. Here's Jacqueline Amader. She did not play yesterday. She flew in after going through her nursing classes at Liberty. Amader hitting .316, couple of home runs, 28 batted in. Coach Richardson said before the game today, there's a lot of coaches that really don't want nursing majors on their team. But she herself, an orthopedic surgeon, very much in support of Jacqueline going through her classes yesterday and then traveling to join the team. Now, there is a big if. If there is the final game, Game 7, Amader will not be here. She'll have to be on a flight Sunday afternoon to go back to Lynchburg to be able to be in class on Monday. But she's here today, batting third in the lineup. Ball and a strike. Sanders to Amader. That one's way high, and the catcher Ramos had to jump up to glove it. Liberty back in 2017 when they won the NISC, the first ever. They lost the first game of the championship round to Weber State, then ran off 5 straight wins. So win this tournament over 3 years. They're 6-0 in elimination games, hoping that holds today. Sammy Williams so good at short. From her knees, her throw to first. Skips by Wolpert. And Bishop, who had stopped at second, will go to third. Infield single. And then the air allowing Bishop to take third base. Sammy Williams so good at shortstop yesterday, making several fantastic plays. And there was another one, but the throw was not scooped by Wolpert. Our umpires getting together. Coach Pinkerton out there. I'm not sure if he thought that throw may have gone out of the field of play, and thus an extra base for a Mater. So our crew again: John Bartley, Brian Crochet, Trina Comerford. It was a very quick conversation to come back and visit with Coach Pinkerton. Here's the stop from Williams. And again, from her knees, bouncing one to first. It hit the railing, and then it kicked right back to the third baseman, Wolpert. Coach Pinkerton not very happy with the explanation. He continues to point to the railing or near that dugout. But the conversation is over, and the Flames have runners on the corners with 1 out. Here is the cleanup hitter, Sarah Robertson. She may have been involved in the biggest play late in the game yesterday. There's a runner on first representing the tying run. Nobody out. She tried to bunt, popped up a bunt. It was caught. Madison Vi ventured too far off the base. She was thrown out back at first. It was a double play that all but ended the game. A 306 hitter, couple of home runs, 21 knocked in for Sarah Robertson. Corners creeping in, Shaban at third, Wolpert at first. And that one is a little bit off that outside edge. So a ground out, a walk, an infield single, and an error, and the Flames have a chance again to score first. A 6-0 lead yesterday is what they built before falling 9-8 to UT Arlington. 2-0 pitch, club towards the gap in right center field. That's down, it's going to go to the fence, and it may score 2. Mater was indecisive between first and second. She'll have to stop at third on an RBI double from Robertson. And it's 1-0 Liberty. Mater was a little bit in no man's land, so to speak, between first and second. Wasn't off with the pitch, and that's why she wasn't able to score. Here is Alexis Eric, the DP. And she will lift one towards foul territory and out of play. Down the left field line. Here is the double from Robertson. Played back in by Nearad. But again, RBI. Good beginning, though, for Liberty. 0-1 the count to Eric. Alexis went 1 for 4 with an RBI single yesterday. Liberty had 9 hits, including 3 home runs. But UT Arlington had 15 hits, and Liberty also made 4 errors. Corners creeping in again, and that one is a called strike. Knee-high outside corner, and a dandy of a pitch from Savannah Sanders. Sanders, again, not a big strikeout pitcher with just 48 and 95 innings. She could use one here with runners at second and third and only 1 out. Chopper back to the circle. Sanders will look a Mater back and get the out at first base. Good play. Able to freeze a Mater and then retire Eric and there's 2 outs. And it brings up the catcher, Caitlin McFarland. Singled and scored, went 1 for 2 yesterday, hitting 182 with a home run on the season. Trying to pick up at least 1 more run. What Liberty allowed a lot yesterday was 2 out runs. In fact, all but 1 of the 9 runs that UT Arlington scored came with 2 outs. So close to maybe ending innings, only to see the Mavericks continue to pour it on. So Liberty trying to return the favor to Iowa State today with some 2 out runs here, but that pitch, a good one in there for a strike. If you would have watched the first 3 or 4 innings of the games yesterday, you probably would have thought, yes, Iowa State would be playing Liberty in day 2, which you probably would have guessed it would have been in the winner's bracket, despite the big leads these teams had. Iowa State and Liberty both ended up losing, so here they are in this elimination game to start a 3-game day in day 2. And McFarland behind in the count. Sanders trying to win this inning. Softly fouled back and out of play. So the walk this inning to Amber Bishop has already come around to score in the double from Robertson. And the count of ball, then 2 strikes to the catcher, McFarland. Sanders nearly skipped that. That was a low pitch, and somehow McFarland made contact to spoil it. Out of her hands, it looked like that one might bounce or skip. A 40-win Liberty team, a 35-win Iowa State team going at it today. The next pitch to McFarland, she was out in front, had to just poke it foul and stay alive. Runner at third as it made her. She had the infield base hit. Robertson at second base. She had the run-scoring double. Another big pitch from Sanders, and she'll get the wave of the miss. Ramos will have to throw to first to complete the strikeout to end the inning. So Liberty strands a couple of runners in scoring position. They do get the game's first run, and it's Liberty 1 and Iowa State coming into bat.
Triple Crown Sports Fast Pitch puts you at the most competitive and engaging tournaments in the nation. With decades of experience building relationships and trust at every level, Triple Crown is the engine behind the Colorado 4th of July, Zoom into June, and offers elite college events such as the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge and postseason NISC. Triple Crown is where skilled players enjoy the thrill of the sport and builds recruiting connections that pay off down the line. Find your way and love the game with Triple Crown Sports.
Back at Fort Collins, Colorado. Liberty pitcher Chase Cassidy beginning her warm-up tosses. And the Flames with a run in the top of the first. Here's the batting lineup. Cassidy will face for Iowa State. The outstanding shortstop Sammy Williams leads off. Then it's Taylor Nearad in center. Taylor Lewis, the DP. Sydney Steintz in right field, bats 4th. Hitting 5th at first base, Sally Wolpert. The catcher is Michaela Ramos in the 6th hole. Logan Shaben at third base, bats 7th. Then it's Casey Simpson getting the start at second base, batting 8th. And Skylar Ramos in left field, bats 9th. But again, Cassidy in the circle, 15 and 3. Her earned run average 1.35. She's thrown more than 140 innings. Opponents hitting just 208 against her. And an outstanding ratio of strikeouts to walks, 141 Ks in her 140 innings. Good test, though, on Sammy Williams. Well, she was so much fun to watch yesterday. Defensively at shortstop. Also clubbed a home run, her 16th of the season, part of a 1-for-3 game. She needs one more hit to tie the all-time Iowa State single-season record. 78 on the season. Chase Cassidy, more of the drop, curve, and change pitcher than Julia DiMartino, who both started and finished the game yesterday for Liberty. And then Cassidy ended up pitching one official inning, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. Pitched in the 5th and 6th innings. DiMartino got the final out in the 6th and allowed the 3 runs in the 7th. DiMartino was in line to be a winner on 2 different occasions and then ended up getting the loss, which was really tough to do. But again, it was a game that was more than frustrating for these 2 teams. Coach Richardson said she had girls in tears after the game and said so many felt like they could have done one more thing to help the team win, whether it was make a play defensively or get a big base hit. And that one high to Williams, 2-2. Sammy Williams' home run yesterday, his 16th of the year, was an opposite field shot over the fence in right. And the count has gone full. Coach Pinkerton yesterday said in his 25 years of coaching, he has not coached a better student athlete than Sammy Williams. Waiting on a payoff pitch, and that one is clubbed to center. That one's hit well, and it is going to go. Home run number 17 on the season. And she has tied up this game at 1. So she ties the Iowa State single season hit record with home run number 17. And it brings up Taylor Neran. Take a look at this swing again, where that ball just rockets off her bat, clears that fence in center. So Iowa State has a couple of homers here in Fort Collins, both courtesy of Sammy Williams. Nearad, the center fielder, she has 4 long ones on the year, a .267 average. Couple of hits and 2 runs scored yesterday. Retires just 1 time, and she looks at a strike from Chase Cassidy. I'm sure for Liberty, they would like to see some success in the circle and early. Entered the game yesterday with the 3rd best earned run average in the country. They had 19 shutouts, and they were working on a shutout into the 5th inning. Only to see UTA score 3 runs in the 5th, 3 in the 6th, and 3 in the 7th. And a wave and a miss. So you go from 27 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings to giving up 9 runs in 3 innings. And Coach Richardson said earlier this season, we get up 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, it's game over. Well, they had a 6-0 lead and lost. And that one is outside. And the question is then, was there anything about yesterday's game or conditions or altitude or anything that gave you a thought process on how you wanted to use your pitchers in the circle, not only for this game, but then going forward should the Flames win? Side to center. Back goes the center fielder, click, and that one's gone. Cyclones go back-to-back. Williams and Nearad. And it's 2-1 Iowa State. Can't even finish that thought, but you wonder about, just the psyche or giving up some runs when this team has been so good in the circle, and back-to-back home runs to begin the bottom of the 1st. Take a look at this swing from Nearad. Kind of in a similar spot to the one that Williams hit. Not far from our camera set up in straightaway center. And Taylon Lewis, the DP, a .298 average with a couple of home runs. And a pitch from Cassidy a little bit low. Coach Richardson said, I don't know. I don't know if the ball wasn't spinning as much. Maybe it wasn't dropping as much. But whatever the case, it certainly wasn't working over those last 3 innings. And already there's going to be a visit in the circle. It felt like to me yesterday that as the winds picked up, the field certainly dried out, made it much harder. The bounces were much more pronounced, and fielders, quite frankly, looked like they were getting locked up. They weren't anticipating the ball getting on them so quickly. There were some balls kicked away. There were some other balls that were hit extremely hard that fielders just weren't able to handle. But on some misplays, it wasn't as if they were just knocking them down and unable to make a throw. The balls were ricocheting, propelling into the outfield. And Liberty tied a season high with 4 errors in the game. And UT Arlington also set a Liberty opponent record for most runs and hits in a game this season. What a beginning for Iowa State. Home run Sammy Williams, home run Taylor Neran, and the count 1-0 to Talon Lewis. That pitch painted over the inside corner and a called strike. Lewis spread out in that box. That pitch bounces and skips away from McFarland. Flames got a run in the top of the first, but they had second and third, 1 out, and did not add to that lead. And now Iowa State has had the back-to-back home runs. Here at the bottom of the frame from Sammy Williams, Taylor Neran. And that one fouled off the catcher McFarland. 2-2. Cyclones cruised through the Ames Regional 3-0, defeating South Dakota and then Purdue on 2 different occasions. This elimination game today, though, has already started with some runs, and Iowa State looking to add 2 runs in their first inning. Count has gone full to Lewis. Chase Cassidy could use it out for Liberty. Rocketed to third and by Griffin. And a base hit. So 3 balls squared up by the Cyclones, and what a beginning for Iowa State here in the bottom of the first.
Now batting right fielder number 4, Sidney Stites.
Here's Sidney Stites, the right fielder. 275 average, 6 home runs for Stites and 18 knocked in. Liberty about to make a change in the circle. Watch this ball rocketed by third. In fact, Griffith had no chance to make that play. So Cassidy, the 15th best earned run average in the country, gave up 3 runs in 1 official inning yesterday. And she is out after 3 batters. We'll see if she might re-enter at some point. But for the Flames, they're already going to make a change in the circle. Elizabeth Engler, a junior pitcher. Will come on to face Stites. Engler making just her 8th appearance of the season. She's thrown 11 2/3 innings, given up 14 hits and 10 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. So an ERA of 6, but she comes into this game trying to provide Coach Richardson and the Flames some outs and then some innings. And Stites able to step back in. She watched her teammates go home run, rocket single to begin the bottom of the first. Engler will skip one in the dirt, scooped by McFarland. There's a chopper foul past Coach Pinkerton near the Cyclone dugout. And considering Liberty allowed 9 runs over the last 3 innings yesterday, you got to believe they wanted a little better start from a pitching and defense standpoint, as that one goes through the legs of Robertson. Hard hit, but into left center. And the first 4 Cyclones have reached to begin this inning. I wonder if there's some carryover residual damage from those big innings the Mavericks put on the board, and if anything, it might snowball just a bit as Sally Wolpert, the first baseman, steps in. 256 average, 3 home runs for Wolpert. She went 1 for 3 with a single in yesterday's 6-5 loss to LMU. An error on Robertson has put the Cyclones in a pretty good spot. First and second, nobody out. And that one misses a little bit in. First of 3 games today, an elimination game here at the NISC at TC Colorado Field in Fort Collins. Game 2 will feature yesterday's winners, UT Arlington, Loyola Marymount, UTA, LMU. That bunt is a good one. Poke to first. Engler will have to scoop and shovel, and she gets the out. Backhanded flip with her glove to Autumn Bishop to retire Wolpert. Stites to second, Lewis to third base on the sacrifice. Here's Michaela Ramos, the catcher. 284 average, 15 runs knocked in. She got a pair of those RBIs yesterday with a single. When the Cyclones built a 4-1 lead on the way to a 5-1 lead, and she'll dump one into right. Lewis will score. Stites to third, the throw hits the screen. She's going to try and score. Griffin can't pick up the ball. Now a play at third, and safe is Ramos. What a crazy play. 2-run score, and Liberty had all kinds of chances to get outs. They had a chance to get an out at third, but the throw bounced. A chance to get an out at the play, but the ball wasn't picked up, and then the tag attempt was late at third. My goodness. What a crazy play. And it is 4-1 Iowa State, and Logan Shaben will bat. It's rare on a play when there could have been an out at third or an out at home, and another chance for an out at third base, and Liberty just came up empty. So they've had a host of misplays after those 2 home runs to begin the first. And Ramos, who had the bloop single to right, never stopped, made it all the way to third base. And that one a little bit up and out. Engler has 1 out. She made that play herself. She's not been helped much by her teammates since she came on in relief of Chase Cassidy. Bunt back to the circle, flip to the plate, and safe. It looked like McFarland may have blocked the plate enough to stop Ramos. But Ramos called safe, and it is 5-1 Iowa State, and Coach Richardson out for an explanation. Thought McFarland did a pretty good job of blocking the plate, and Trina Cromaford took a long look and then pointed to the plate but said safe. We can see if we might have a chance to see this play at the plate. Here's the bunt, fielded by Engler. Shovels to the plate and called safe. So Coach Richardson to the circle. She has already made one pitching change and now just trying to get some outs. So from 27 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings to now having allowed 14 runs in the last 3 1/3 for the Liberty Flames. And this is not what you would call maybe a laid-back conversation from Coach Richardson. She said earlier today, in fact, before the game, it's going to be how our players respond. We have to put it all out on the field. Character challenges you when you lose, and of course she can't be the least bit thrilled with what she has seen. The back-to-back homers to start this inning provided some shell shock, but then it was the single, the error, the sacrifice, another single. And another error. And a fielder's choice, and here's Casey Simpson. In the air to left and playable for a Mater. She'll make the catch, and that is the second out with the 8th batter. So 2 outs. Here's the 9-hole hitter, Skylar Ramos, the left fielder. She's batted just 5 times this season, 0 for 5. And yet she's hitting here in the first inning. Shaven at first. 5 runs home. Popped up. A Mater there in the foul territory makes the catch to win the inning. Iowa State scores 5 in the frame. They do so on 4 hits and a couple of errors. And after a busy first inning, it's Iowa State 5 and Liberty 1. In the bottom of the first. And 2 errors and a couple of other misplays by the Flames kick-started that inning. So now Savannah Sanders back in the circle working with a big lead as the Flames bat in the second and begin this process of trying to chip away. Here's the third baseman, Danae Griffin.
Third baseman, number 22, Danae Griffin.
For Griffin, she's not hit a home run. She had a couple of base hits yesterday in a 2 for 3 game and scored 2 runs. And the pitch carries off the corner to begin the second from Savannah Sanders. For Sanders today, it's her 81st career start. She's pitched in 125 games, up over 450 career innings. Part of the senior class that's on their 3rd head coach. It was 3 head coaches in 3 years last season. Before this, the 2nd season of Coach Pinkerton. Little hesitation out there in left field, but Ramos able to locate it, make the catch to retire Danae Griffin. And Sanders out of Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Working with the lead, able to get that first out. Here's Madison Vi. With the Maters return to the lineup, Vi goes from the 3rd spot to batting 8th. But it is a good 8-hole hitter .327 average, 4 home runs, and she will take strike one. Vi walked a couple of times yesterday, also flew out on 2 occasions, part of an 0-for-2 game. And that one further off the corner. Ramos drifted off that outside edge and unable to frame it. And for Iowa State, again, this is the first time they've been in a postseason tournament since 1988. Liberty last year, a couple of wins in the Columbia Regional, defeated the host South Carolina Gamecocks before South Carolina came back and defeated them in the final 2 games. Next pitch is on the corner for a called strike. Vi leads her team in runs scored, trying to get on with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Coach Richardson felt like winning the NISC 2 years ago really kick-started her team into the postseason last year in the NCAA tournament and that Columbia Regional. And hoping for the same type of postseason experience this year, and Madison Vi will take the walk, so she's on again. Second walk issued by Savannah Sanders. And it brings up Jasmine Click, the center fielder. And the Bishop sisters, Autumn and Amber, loom on deck after they combined for 3 home runs yesterday. Always magnifying the importance of getting the hitters ahead of them in this lineup. And Sanders taking a long time, and Click will call time. Bunt rocketed back to the circle. Fast runner, safe at first is Click. That bunt wasn't exactly deadened. Sanders got to it quickly, but when she looked up, Click was racing down the line and beat it.
First baseman, number 61, Autumn Bishop.
And it does indeed bring up Autumn Bishop with 2 runners on base and 1 out. So while sister Amber hit her 13th home run, Autumn hit her first 2 yesterday. And they were not cheapies either. Was the 3rd time in their collegiate career the sisters both homered in the same game. And even though Autumn has 11 fewer home runs, here's the play at first. That was close, but Click looked to be safe. Autumn is 5 points higher in the batting average column. Amber has more hits, more home runs, but nonetheless, this duo very formidable for the Flames at the top of their lineup. Vi at second, Click at first. Sanders trying to nibble just a bit, misses, and it's 2-0. Beautiful day here in Fort Collins at TC Colorado Field. 2 exciting games yesterday. Both teams leading through the entire game, had their opponents down to their final strike and ended up losing. Both of these teams, Liberty and Iowa State. Good pitch for a strike. You talk about Liberty, though, and you think about how strange it was for them to have a 6-0 lead and lose. In games before yesterday, in which they had scored 4 runs or more, just 4 runs, they were 30-1. So they score 6 right out of the gates and lose. They score 8 in all and lose. Play made by Wolpert. She will tag out Autumn Bishop. And that is the second out. Both runners move up. Find a third, click to second. Brian Crochet at first called Autumn Bishop out. I think he wanted an explanation what it was for. I'm not sure if she started to backpedal and vacate the line or what the quick call was for, but she was going to be out regardless. So Liberty had runners at second and third. They stranded in the first. They have runners at second and third. 2 outs here in the second inning. Here's Amber Bishop. She walked and scored last inning. And carries off the corner, just as miss. And Savannah Sanders wants to call her catcher Ramos out to the circle. Maybe a little bit like Highland yesterday, trying to pound the parameters of the zone, especially out and low, trying to find what she might be able to hit for strikes. And Highland in the first couple of innings yesterday just wasn't willing to give in even when the strikes were not called. And you can see Sanders trying to work a little bit off that corner and maybe frustrated she has not received those strike calls. So the 1-0 pitch hit in the air to right field, should be playable and is for Stites, and that will end the inning. So the Flames strand 2 more runners in scoring position. And we go to the bottom of the second in this elimination game. Iowa State in front, 5-1.
We move to the bottom of the second. Flames make the defensive change. Now in at third base, number 24, Riley Reynolds.
Back at TC Colorado Field. Flames have left 4 runners in scoring position in the first 2 innings. Iowa State with a 5-run first, and the Cyclones look to add to that in the bottom of the second. A defensive change was made. Riley Reynolds at third base, replacing Danae Griffin, who's had some difficult plays in the last couple of games. A hot corner indeed for Griffin. Now Reynolds will take her crack at it. Here's Sammy Williams. 2 home runs already in this championship series. Of course, she was the MVP of the Iowa State Regional in 3 games. She had 8 hits, 5 doubles, 6 runs scored, and even though she's had just the 2 hits here, both of those have been home runs. 1 to right, 1 to center. And that one softly fouled past Coach Pinkerton. For the Cyclones as a team with their 2 today, up to 48 home runs. But for Sammy Williams, in the first game of the Big 12 Conference Tournament, she had a 16-game hitting streak ended. She's up to 37 career home runs now. And as we mentioned yesterday, the only Division I player in the country with a batting average better than .390, at least 15 home runs, at least 23 doubles. Catcher McFarland has some dirt, some of that Colorado dirt in her eye, and she seems to be okay. Engler, the pitcher, with a 1-2 count, trying to nibble down and in, but she missed. To Sammy Williams, 2-2. We're getting fancy with our graphics. You see the home run from Williams, 17. And that pitch a little bit up and a little bit out. You could tell a hitter is dialed in like Williams. Pretty aggressive hitter, but even on a few pitches with 2 strikes barely out of the zone, she spit on him to take the count full. And pokes that one off the screen to her right. And the count holds at 3-2. Williams came into this championship series 1 extra base hit behind the nation's leader, Linda Rush of Drexel. So she now has the lead and will not relinquish it. Drexel is done as Williams will walk. So 42 extra base hits. In a pretty patient sequence to end up drawing the walk, and she will reach to begin the Cyclones' second. Here's Nerad, who also homered. Coach Pinkerton said he may have cost Williams a chance for some All-American honors by batting her leadoff. Lifted to left, and Mater's had a few plays already, and she'll back up and make the catch for the first out. As you can see, we're having Williams lead off, whether it's pounding a home run or walking to reach base. Can kickstart some big innings for the Cyclones as well, even though it might cost Williams some RBI numbers. Here's the DP, Taylon Lewis. She singled and scored, and it was the last batter that Chase Cassidy, the starter, would face. 3 batters, 3 hits, and then Engler came on in relief. And a strike hold over the inside corner. So Engler has not had a lot of innings in the circle this season. We'll see how long she might go in this game. Needs to provide some innings. That ball in the dirt, Williams will take off and make it easily. But before this relief appearance, Engler had 11 2/3 innings over 7 appearances this entire season, the fewest of the 5 pitchers who have seen action for the Flames. Two balls and a strike to Lewis. And it's just off the corner again. Engler, another Temecula, California native. We've seen a few of those on different teams from that same town. That one off the hand, sent out there towards a Mater, who backs up a couple of steps in fair territory to make her 4th putout already of the game. So got off the plane yesterday, wasn't able to appear in game 1. She's had 4 putouts and a base hit already in her first opportunity to play in the postseason NIC championship game. Here's Sydney Stites. Reached on an air and scored in the first. Good pitch for a strike from Engler over the inside corner to the Cyclones cleanup hitter. Sammy Williams walked to begin this inning, swiped second base, but she remains there with 2 outs. And Engler and the Flames would love to see a 0 up on the board. That one hit well to center. Click back, reaches up, and puts it away. So 3 fly ball outs after that walk, and the Cyclones do not score, and the Flames might be able to exhale just a bit. We go to the 3rd inning. Iowa State 5, Liberty 1.
So eval has struggled. We've built a new product, and that product's called TC Eval. We've hired coaches, college coaches, to be able to determine one answer for the parents. Right now, I forecast that your child your young lady, your young man is at this level. You may not like the answer, but it is a neutral, qualified answer of where your daughter belongs. We would love to have your son or daughter in the Triple Crown evaluation process. Thank you.
Two innings complete in our elimination game to begin a very busy Saturday here at TC Colorado Field. The Flames scored first with a run in the top of the first. Cyclone answered with 5 in their first inning. Each team left runners in scoring position in the second. Here we go to the third inning. Savannah Sanders back in the circle for Iowa State to face the heart of the Liberty lineup, Amader, Robertson, and Eric. Jacqueline Amader reached on an infield base hit in the first. And the first pitch here in our third inning. Rides in there for a strike. Liberty is not a team that connects for a lot of home runs, despite the fact they had 3 yesterday from the Bishop sisters. But the 3 in game 1 gives them 27 on the season. So if the home runs aren't prevalent or part of the everyday recipe, then they're going to need to string together some hits against Sanders. Offering it a high pitch, and that's a soft pop-up to Shaban. And a quick out to begin the Liberty third inning. There's Sarah Robertson, the shortstop. She doubled in a run back in the first. Gave the Flames a 1-0 lead. For Robertson, it was career hit number 230. She came into this game tied for third all-time in the program's history, and now she breaks that tie with an RBI double. But again, she ranks all-time in the top 10 in 12 different career categories in Flames softball history. Also the program's all-time leader in games played and started. It's the same number. This is 253 starts in her career for the Flames. You think of both of these senior classes. For Iowa State, it'll be the senior class that maybe turns this program around after 3 head coaches in their first 3 years on campus. For Liberty, it's a senior class that's won 166 games, including a couple of wins in the postseason last year in the Columbia Regional in South Carolina. Two balls and a strike to Robertson. Her double in the first went to the gap in right center. Off the bat, it looked like it might score 2. It only plated 1, and Liberty has not been able to reach that second run yet. Corners have been creeping in. And the count now evens at 2-2. Shaban retreating a couple of steps at third. Next pitch from Sanders, way in, nearly hit Robertson on the thigh, or almost grazed her on the way by into the glove of the catcher Ramos. Three and two the count to the cleanup hitter Robertson. And that'll be back and on a play. Sanders has struck out just 1 so far, but she's been able to work around some contact. 3 hits and 4 runners left on base. And the payoff is dribbled towards first. Fielded by Wolpert. Race to the bag. And safe! Not sure if Wolpert was a little bit late or whether she mistimed her steps because Robertson called safe. And the Flames have a base runner with one out.
Now batting number 4, Alexis Eric.
We're going to have to take another look at this. You'll see the race to the bag and such drama, suspense. Boy, I don't know if that was a tie. What do you think? Our crack crew? That's tough even slowing it down multiple times to take a look, but Robertson gets the infield hit. Sometimes as a first baseman, you're very reluctant maybe to dive with the glove for fear of being stepped on, but maybe that might have been a difference. Instead, it's a base runner. Here's Alexis Eric, the DP, who is out on a bunt to the circle in the first. Pitch to hit here. Lifted towards Ramos in left. She's starting to drift, but underneath it, shy of that 14-foot fence with the Rocky Mountains in left. That makes the catch for out number 2.
Now batting the catcher.
Here's Caitlin McFarland, the catcher. Down on strikes in the first. McFarland has 1 home run this season. You think about home runs, though, for Caitlin. She hit the first NCAA postseason home run in program history. A 10th inning solo shot in their 2-0 win over Hofstra last year in Columbia. One she may not soon forget. Then again, she's hit just 1 since. I'm not sure if the thin air or maybe the conditions or the altitude of the winds might have you thinking more about long ball than during the course of the regular season, or you're just trying to barrel up balls and hit them hard. This one blooped down the right field line. That'll drop in for a base hit. Robertson to third. The throw comes all the way into the dugout, kicks around. It'll provide an extra base for McFarland to go to second on the air. And there's runners at second and third again. Thought Robertson might try and score when she read that throw was not going to be fielded, but she was near Coach Richardson, slammed on the brakes, and then went back to third base.
Now batting, third baseman number 44, Riley Reynolds.
And here is Riley Reynolds. This is her first at bat. She came on defensively in a change for Danae Griffin. Griffin had a rough go of it at third base, so Reynolds inserted at third. And with the bat this season, she has had just 1 hit in 23 at-bats. That's an average of 43. And a chance to change that here, and also not going to cover the runs. And she's ahead in the count, 2-0. An infield single for Robertson, a bloop hit from McFarland. There was a throwing error in between, and runners at second and third again for the Flames. If Reynolds is retired, the Flames will have left runners at second and third in all 3 innings. And you don't want to leave 6 runners all in scoring position when you're in need of runs after giving up 5 to the Cyclones in the bottom of the first. But now the count 3-0. And Madison Vi, an 8-hole hitter who was batting third yesterday, is on deck. So Sanders really doesn't want to put Reynolds on, but needs a couple of strikes. And there's the first. Next pitch, he'll swing and come up empty. So Sanders has battled back from 3-0 to 3-2. Robertson again at third, McFarland at second, and a payoff pitch. Found back, and Reynolds stays alive and will do it again. Reynolds, a senior from Simi Valley, California. A chance to deliver for her team here. Quite a at battle. And a payoff pitch is high, and the walk loads the bases. So Reynolds wins it, and here's Madison Vi. And a visit in the circle with Coach Pinkerton before Vi will get a chance to hit. So even though Iowa State put that 5-run bottom of the first in the scorebooks, and our score hasn't changed since, the Flames one big blast away from tying up this game. 2 singles, an error, a walk have loaded the bases, and now Madison Vi, who's walked 3 times in a couple of games, will get a chance to face Savannah Sanders. Sanders, again, much more the finesse pitcher than his Highland, who pitched a complete game in the loss yesterday to LMU. A 6-5 Lions win. And here's Vi, bases loaded, 2 outs. And a pretty good pitch to hit, but maybe a little bit up and in. All of a sudden, with a 2-0 count, Sanders is going to have to come over the heart of the plate a little more after missing to Vi, who's already showed her patience with the 3 walks. See how willing she is to swing here. 2-0. She does, and sends it down the right field line where it'll be tracked down by Stites to end the inning. 2 hits and 3 left. The Flames have stranded 7 runners through 3 innings, and it's still a 5-1 Iowa State lead. '19 postseason NISC rolls on. The National Invitational Softball Championships from the TC Colorado Field in Fort Collins, the home of Triple Crown Sports. An elimination game begins our Saturday, and this game heads into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Iowa State batting and leading Liberty 5-1. Sally Wolpert, the first baseman, leads off, and then it'll be Ramos and Shaban. Elizabeth Engler entered the game 4 batters into the 1st inning, has been in there since in relief. Wolpert was the first out of the inning, and she did so on a bunt that she fielded. There's a fly out to right, and Vi started back able to come in to make the catch for a quick out to begin the Cyclone third inning.
Now batting catcher number 44, Michaela Ramos.
Here's Michaela Ramos. The catcher knocked in a run with a single in that big first inning. Cyclones 35 wins on the year. They went 7-11 in the Big 12. And they finished fifth. And you say, well, you finished fifth in the Big 12, that's pretty good. Well, we know there's 12 in the team name, the conference name, but there's only 10 schools, and of that, only 7 play softball. So really, they were fifth of 7 teams in the course of the Big 12. A little soft pop-up. Engler will get there with their big strides and make the catch. Had that ball hit, it may have spun backwards and foul, but Engler wanted the easy out. And that is now 5 in a row. She is set down. And here's Logan Shaban. Got an RBI and a fielder's choice in the first. Good pitch, but maybe missing low for a ball. But for Iowa State, they're 35 wins overall, tied for the most in program history since 1982. And that Cyclone team won 37 games. And that one hit well but foul down the line and left. So a win here today would stave off elimination, give them 36 wins and a chance later on today to maybe equal what that 1982 Cyclone team was able to accomplish. And for Iowa State, this has been a year of first. And think of some of the 3-game series sweeps they've been able to record. They swept Georgia Tech in a 3-game set. And then in conference play, took all 3 from Baylor in a 3-game series from Kansas. A disappointing loss yesterday, but misery loves company when it comes to this game. Both teams could argue their feelings are pretty comparable as far as being 1 strike away from a win in a game that they did not trail, and then both ended up losing. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Shaban. And the pitch from Engler. Off the dirt, poke foul. Count holds at 1-2. Engler working with their catcher McFarland. She's not recorded a strikeout yet and won't get one here. The count 2-2. In fact, the Cyclones have not struck out in the game. Engler looking for a perfect 3rd inning. Instead, now the count has drifted back to full. So fly out to right, a pop up to Engler, and a payoff pitch here is tap foul. We'll do it again. Over near the Cyclone dugout. So Shaban battling. Another payoff pitch on the way. Stroke towards left, and that's a base hit. Shaban, an Iowa native who went to Harlan High School in the western portion of the state, gets her first hit after getting an RBI earlier. Here's Casey Simpson.
Second baseman number 1, Casey Simpson.
She flew out to a mater in left back in the first inning. Simpson was the player back in early April, on April the 2nd. Came into the game with a couple of RBIs on the year. She had 7 in the game, including a grand slam. First pitch swinging here, flies out to left again and ends the inning. So the Cyclones get a base hit. They do not score or add to their lead, and through 3 innings, it's Iowa State 5 and Liberty 1.
Cyclones no runs.
a great venue, great event. Triple Crown does a great job. The kids love the region, and we get to see a lot of schools in a short amount of time, do some camps and some visits, able to get the coaches out to see us play while we're here.
It's a great opportunity for the kids. We've got more and more kids trying to get into college. I'm just happy that we're able to provide a venue, especially up here in the Northwest.
Back in Colorado, beautiful sunshiny day. Temperatures were in the low 40s this morning. They'll work their way up to the mid to upper 70s before all is said and done today. And we'll have 3 games to play. This is the first an elimination game. Jasmine Click will lead off the 4th inning with Liberty trailing 5-1 to the Cyclones from Iowa State. Click showed off her speed and beat out a bunt hit in the 2nd inning. But again, Liberty has stranded 7 runners through 3 innings. 6 of the 7 runners have been in scoring position. So getting runners on base has not been the issue. Scoring runners after that has been, especially when they've been trying to come back from that 5-run Cyclone first. Poke foul right back to the screen. It's a Liberty team that is so good at home this year. They were 24-2 in Lynchburg, but they're playing a team at Iowa State that is so accustomed to playing neutral site games. And obviously the weather at Ames, not very hospitable early in the year for many home games, but the Cyclones played 23 neutral games. This will be their 24th this season. They played a total of 20 home games. So probably a lot of teams in the country still playing, whether here in the NISC or certainly in the NCAAs, that had so few home games or so many more neutral site games. So this is probably almost a home type of feeling for Iowa State, not to be at home, or at least accustomed to being on the road or away from Ames. And maybe it's a moral victory when it's a neutral field game and you're not playing at another team's host tournament of sorts. 1-2 to Click. Pokes one hard, but Williams so good at short, and as I say that ball squirted right out of her glove. And she'll commit the air to allow Click to reach, and that was probably the speed right there. She saw Click beat out that bunt hit earlier, and she was in a hurry for the exchange, and the ball just slipped right out. Like a wet bar of soap right out of the glove, and the Flames have a base runner, and the lineup turned over for Autumn Bishop. 2 groundouts on her ledger today, 1 to second, 1 to first. Bishop sisters and twins, approximately one of 18 sets in college softball. And that will be back and out of play. Murrieta, California natives. And both will have one more season of softball in Lynchburg and at Liberty. Ball in the dirt, knocked down by Ramos. Autumn came into play this weekend leading the A-Sun in on-base percentage, a .458 on-base percentage. So she doesn't have the power of Amber, but she does walk significantly more. And also leads this team in batting average, although she is 0 for 2 today. That one just spun right out of the hands and high immediately from Savannah Sanders. And the count 2 balls and a strike. Seems like Engler has settled things down in the circle for Liberty, and their defense hasn't caused them as many problems, but now they need their bats to kickstart some runs against this Iowa State pitcher. Hooked on the ground to second. Simpson will get the lead runner on a nice throw in front of Click to Williams for the force. With a 4-run lead, it may have been easy just to take that sure out at first, but she did get the lead runner.
Now batting second baseman number 72, Amber Bishop.
So Autumn is 0 for 3, and here's Amber. And she walked in the first, and she has scored the lone Flames run here in this elimination game. Watch this throw. This is a tough angle and thrown across her body, but it had to be in a perfect spot for Williams, and it was. Amber's home run again yesterday, her 13th. High in the air towards Ramos. She starts to backpedal. The wind's causing some problems, and she's able to make the catch. There was about one step out there where you thought this isn't going to finish well for her, and she was able to gather and make that catch. The winds have picked up considerably since we started play at 10 o'clock Mountain Time this morning. There's Jacqueline Amader. She's been busy in left field. She's also had a base hit and popped up to third her last time in. And again, the reason she was not here, she is in a nursing summer program and could not afford to miss classes yesterday. And Coach Richardson said, hey, there's some coaches that really don't want nursing majors on their team, but as someone who is an orthopedic surgeon, she understands. An orthopedic surgeon turned softball coach, but should there be an if game on Sunday, she would also miss that and have to be back on a plane to head back to Lynchburg. So she would not be iffy for the if game. She'd be out, but trying to make the most of what could be her final collegiate softball game. 2-0 the count. And sends one into left for a base hit. So the second hit for Amader. Another California native with a base hit. And she will chase Autumn Bishop to second base. So here come the Flames again with more base runners.
Shortstop number 1, Sarah Robertson.
Liberty has more hits now than does the Iowa State squad, but trailing 5-1. And here's Sarah Robertson, and she's had 2 hits today, a double and a single, giving her 231 in her career. She began the day tied for third all-time in Liberty history. She's since broken that tie and now going for her 3rd hit in 3 at-bats. Robertson takes a called strike. I think she thought that pitch may have been in. Instead, the count 1-1. So many California natives on this team at Liberty for Coach Richardson, former UCLA star. But for Robertson, she's a Florida native from Panama City. Big cut and a miss. All the runs here in this elimination game are scored in the first. That one not close. Up and out from Sanders. Shannon Mortimer, one of the pitchers for the Cyclones, swarming in the bullpen. In fact, they have a couple of pitchers throwing through the pine trees down the line and left. And a 2-2. Robertson grounds one to Williams. She will shovel to third for the force. What a nice play to end the inning. And Iowa State has now watched the Flames strand 9 runners through 4 innings. And we head to the bottom of the 4th. Cyclones up 5-1. Back at Fort Collins, Cyclones batting in the bottom of the fourth inning with a 5-1 lead over Liberty. Skylar Ramos, Sammy Williams, Taylor Nearad, the three scheduled hitters against Elizabeth Engler, who did not start, but she was in the game for batters into this contest in the first. Ramos fly to left, her only time in. Engler starts her with strike one. Breeze has certainly picked up, howling at times towards left, and that one nearly hit Ramos. Skylar does not have a hit this year. She's 0 for 6, but in that starting lineup today. She may have a hit here. She may have extra bases. She's not stopping at second. My goodness. All the way to third. She turned second. The Flames were oblivious to the fact she was still going. What a crazy beginning to the fourth inning. And it brings up Sammy Williams. So Sammy Williams homered in the first. We talked about the fact that with 2 extra base hits, in fact 2 home runs in this championship series, she has more extra base hits than anybody in the country. Sends one to center, dropping fast. It'll kick by Click and produce another run. Williams not stopping, and she may have another. She's made it 6-1 Iowa State. Click tried to get it with a dive, couldn't do so, and then the ball trickled a few feet away, and Williams never stopped. Coach Richardson ready to make another change in the circle. I want to finish my thought, though, on Sammy Williams. We were talking about her extra base hits, but as I mentioned before, Coach Pinkerton said that she might be the best student athlete he's had in 25 years. She leads the team in community service hours. In fact, she's going to Honduras here this summer. Watch her right now practicing her secondary leads. How many All-American type hitters do you know that are out there practicing their secondary leads during a pitching change? Well, she is. She's going to Honduras this summer. They're going to call it Soul for Souls, I believe, and it's providing shoes for those in third world countries that just simply don't have much. So for Sammy Williams, once she gets done popping hits and driving in some runs, she has some community service projects in mind in Honduras. Well, it's been fun just to watch her go through her routine, fielding ground balls here, working on her base running. And for Liberty, Julia DiMartino, who both started and finished yesterday's game in the circle, ready to try and settle things down. I don't think Coach Richardson can wait any longer with her team down 6-1. DiMartino, the loser yesterday, dropped in 19 and 11. She gave up 11 hits and 6 runs, 3 earned, and 6 innings of work. She had thrown 4 shutout innings to start the game for somebody who has the 11th best earned run average in the country. And then all of a sudden things went sideways, and it started with defensive breakdowns and unearned runs, and then it just kept on going. Here's Nearad, homered back in the first. Sammy Williams was practicing her secondary leads during the pitching change, and that ball was only in the dirt for a split second, and she took off to third. Advances on the wild pitch, and that was the instincts of reading that ball in the dirt. The minute it was in the dirt, she was off, and she'll force the infielders to creep in. And the pitch called to Nearad. Flew out to left her last time in. DiMartino, more of a rise ball pitcher, although yesterday, and there was the rise ball, she was just loading up on the ground ball outs, which was somewhat strange. In fact, through 4 innings, those 4 scoreless innings, she had 11 ground ball outs for a pitcher who was so effective at working up. She would love to get a strikeout here on a ball up, but worked out instead, and the count has gone full. A triple and a double for the Cyclones in their 4th inning, and they're probably thinking now, let's tack on a few more runs. A 5-1 lead yesterday evaporated and they lost, but now you put the accelerator down and try and get a run rule. Ground ball to third. Reynolds will throw to first, but Williams with a good break will score, and the Cyclones have tacked on another. It's a 7-1 game. Second RBI for Nearad.
Now batting number 13, Taylor Lewis.
And Taylor Lewis steps in with the bases empty and 1 out, but 2 runs home for the Cyclones. Lewis bats in the 3-hole. She's the DP, and that low pitch from DiMartino not called a strike. When Liberty really had a cranked up pitching earlier this year, they had 9 straight shutouts in the season. 9 straight games. It was 60 consecutive innings. And that one fouled right back off the mask of our plate umpire and knocked it off her head. Coach Pinkerton is going to come out to see if she's okay. Trina Comaford points to her mask and said, "This is what it's for. Is this supposed to absorb some of those blasts or some of those ricochets or foul balls?" Ball then a strike to count. There's the rise pitch and a wave and a miss. McFarland was getting ready to throw the ball around the horn, but that was only strike 2 and not strike 3. Elevated pitch, 2-2. Cyclones had a breakthrough as far as the home runs last year with 45. So they came into this championship series with that same number, and they've tacked on 3 more home runs, including 2 from Williams, 1 from Nearad. They went back-to-back in the first. But a triple and a double and a ground out, producing 2 runs here in this Iowa State 4th inning. DiMartino, the 3rd pitcher already for Liberty, sees the count go full. Loop towards center and another base hit. Second for Lewis in the game. And the 3rd hit this inning for Iowa State. Here's Stites, cleanup hitter. We've seen her reach on an air and score, and also line out to center field. Iowa State's going to use a pinch runner. Jackie Cherez will run for Lewis here in the 4th inning.
Now running at first base, number 5, Jackie Cherez.
So DiMartino got the ground out, the first batter she faced, then the base hit allowed to Lewis, and here's Stites. DiMartino, the senior from Brockport, New York. Rides one up and out to the Cyclone cleanup hitter. (7-1) Iowa State. Healthy rip and a miss. Liberty got the run in the top of the first, stranded 2 runners in scoring position. Iowa State would score 5 in the bottom of the first inning and tacked on 2 more this frame. Between the belt and the letters and missing again. That pitch is on the corner. Well placed for a strike to even the count at 2-2 to Stites. And now DiMartino working with some pace and tempo. The count has gone full. Flames could use it out. That one is crushed, but trending foul and landing well beyond the tree. That ball was crushed by Stites. That would have put the Flames in a dangerous territory had that one been fair. Another payoff. That's ball 4. And the inning rolls on. A couple of base runners with just one out. Brings up Sally Wolpert, the first baseman, who's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice bunt. DiMartino has not been able to get many of the Cyclones to chase that rise pitch above their belt. Shanked foul by Wolpert. California native, senior from Cyprus. Handful of Iowa natives, of course, a few Californians. And a few others on this Iowa State team. That's a good pitch right down the chute for a called strike. The one out this inning produced a run and a ground out to third. A little soft dumper in front of the shortstop Robertson. She'll make the play and throw out Wolpert at first. Both runners advance. Pinch runner Cherez to third and Stites to second. And it brings up the catcher, Michaela Ramos. Singled to the run back in the first. And a soft pop-up that was fielded by the pitcher in front of the circle by Engler in the third inning. Once that ball hit the dirt, you wonder what type of spin it hit for Robertson, but she made the play. RBI for Michaela Ramos was her 16th. She has a couple of teammates in scoring position. And pitch ripped on and missed. Quickly, 0-2 from DiMartino to Ramos. And she tried to go up a little bit higher to see if Ramos might climb that ladder with her, but she did not. DiMartino has entered this inning and gets the wave and a miss and a big strikeout to end the fourth, and the Cyclones left 2 runners in scoring position, but they also score 2 more. We go to the 5th. It's Iowa State 7 and Liberty 1.
Triple Crown Sports Fast Pitch puts you at the most competitive and engaging tournaments in the nation. With decades of experience building relationships and trust at every level, Triple Crown is the engine behind the Colorado 4th of July, Zoom into June, and offers elite college events such as the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge and postseason NISC. Triple Crown is where skilled players enjoy the thrill of the sport and builds recruiting connections that pay off down the line. Find your way and love the game with Triple Crown Sports.
to the 5th inning we go, and Liberty's challenge becomes a little more difficult after Iowa State scored 2 runs in the 4th inning. 7-1 Cyclones. Alexis Eric will lead off against Savannah Sanders, still in the circle for Iowa State. Cyclones have had some pitchers up working off and on in their pen, but it has been Sanders who gave up a run in the first, but nothing since. Now, it's not as if Liberty hasn't had some chances. The Flames have stranded 9 runners in 4 innings. Eric is 0 for 2. Sharply on the ground. What a stop by Simpson, and from her knees will throw out Eric. That ball took a kangaroo bounce, and she was able to throw her glove up as she was falling down and make a SportsCenter top 10 play. My goodness. That had base hit written all over it. Let's take a look at this again. And then to get up from her knees and make that throw to first. How about the reaction from Sanders? Not 1 but 2 running fist pumps. When you're in an elimination game and you're down 6 runs and you smoke a ball only to see it result in an out or do it twice, my goodness, as McFarland tattooed one to Ramos. Could have easily been a base hit to right and an extra base hit to left. Instead, the bases are empty and 2 gone. And here's Riley Reynolds, who did not start but came in defensively first for Griffin at third, and then batted for the first time and walked in the 3rd inning. Bats with the bases empty and 2 outs. We've seen Williams make a couple of outstanding plays at short, but that one by Simpson. I mean, it's hard once you're into a dive expecting that ball to be down, then to throw up your glove and catch it 2 or 3 feet in the air. And that pop up will be back over the screen and out of play. Nothing and 2 to Reynolds. Sanders has not had anything close to a 1-2-3 inning. She took a couple of steps towards the dugout thinking maybe she had strike 3. And that one was barely fouled back by Reynolds. And here it made contact with the catcher, Michaela Ramos. Sanders has been awfully close to getting that strikeout to end the inning. Reynolds hanging tough. And another 1-2 pitch. Spun up and out. First of 3 games here today at TC Colorado Field. We begin with an elimination game. And then UTA, UT Arlington, Loyola Marymount, LMU will meet in game 2. And another elimination game to round things out today. Popped up. Here comes the third baseman, Shaven, down the line to make the catch. And in the inning. So the Flames go in order for the first time. A couple of good defensive plays made by the Cyclones. And to the bottom of the 5th we go. Iowa State leading 7-1.
We move to the bottom of the 5th. It's the Cyclones 7, the Flames 1.
Back in Colorado. Cyclones could win this one with a couple of runs in the bottom of the 5th. Iowa State 5 in the 1st, 2 in the 4th. And Liberty put DiMartino back in the game in the 4th inning. She was able to get the strikeout of Ramos to strand 2 Cyclones in scoring position. Logan Shaban, who caught that pop-up to end the top of the 5th, will lead off. 17-9 due up for Iowa State. Soft pop-up towards second. Bishop there to make the catch, and that would be Amber in front of her sister Autumn.
Now batting second baseman number 1, Casey Simpson.
Miss Casey Simpson. She of the outstanding defensive play to Rob Eric last inning. Tap back towards DiMartino. She'll quickly pounce on it, make the play. And there's 2 Cyclones retired in the 5th inning.
Now batting left fielder number 21, Skylar Ramos.
Here's Skylar Ramos. Got her first base hit of the season with a triple in the 4th inning. Sent one out towards left center field. The throw came to second. She just never stopped. Kept on racing to third and made it without a throw. And she would score in a Sammy Williams double. There's a rip and a miss. And DiMartino, it feels like it's getting a few more swings and misses than maybe we saw her yesterday when she was so adept at getting ground ball outs. And that was before UTA just pounded the ball around the yard and had 9 runs over the last 3 innings. And for Liberty again, what UTA was able to accomplish set the Liberty opponents' single game records this season in runs allowed, hits allowed, 4 errors, also tying a season high, contributed to part of that. Down and out, was there a swing? No swing, and Ramos remains alive. Ramos from Ventura, California. Strokes 1 foul down the third base side. DiMartino just trying to end this inning to get her team back up there and a chance to string together some hits and some runs to climb back into this game as time starts to run out. Another foul ball back by Skylar Ramos. 7-1 Cyclones lead over Liberty in our first elimination game of this 2019 NISC. Wave and a miss and a strikeout to end the inning. Cyclones go down in order. We go to the 6th inning. The lead remains 6 for Iowa State, 7-1 Cyclones.
In the bottom of the 5th inning.
Liberty ready to bat in the top of the 6th inning. It's a 6-run Iowa State lead. Flames just torched a couple of balls last inning and both resulted in outs, and they went down in order for the first time. So Madison Vi leads off inning number 6. 8-9-1 due up for the Flames, who came in with 40 wins on the season, 16 in league play. 3 straight 40-win seasons have been recorded for Liberty. The wins, the 5th most in program history. But a disappointing loss yesterday. And Coach Richardson said, we'll find out how our team responds today. There's a dribbler to first. 5 retired, that's 5 in a row. Set down by Sanders. Pinch hitter for Liberty, Deidre C. is going to hit for Click. We saw C in the lineup as the DH or DP yesterday and went 0 for 3 in the game. Coach Richardson talked a lot about how her team needed to respond today. The 5-run bottom of the first did not help. She said at 15 she was crying after a loss, and her dad was in the car and pulled the car aside and said, you can't do anything about it now. It's all about moving forward. But time is running out today. Coach Richardson was so thankful that her administration was supporting this team. She said, listen, there's a lot of teams that are really good that aren't in the NCAA tournament now and have RPIs that would be good entries for this, but it's about support. School is out. You need the support to host, which Liberty has, or to continue playing. Wanting to see this event in Fort Collins grow. And this is the 3rd year of the NISC, but the first not played at a host site and played here at TC Colorado Field in Fort Collins. Pitch to C is lifted high to shallow right. Stite still moving out, but it's the second baseman Simpson who turns around and makes the play. Two gone, back to the top of the lineup in Autumn Bishop.
Now batting. Top of the lineup for the Flames. First baseman, number 61, Autumn Bishop.
Bishop came into this championship series without a homer but 61 hits. Here she is a couple of full games in. She still does not have a hit that hasn't been a home run. So we're 2 both long balls, 0 for 3 today. She's hit the ball on the ground 3 times. And with Savannah Sanders having set down 6 straight, and with the help of her defense in that mix, the Flames down to their final 4 outs. And maybe not even that if Iowa State would score a couple of runs in the bottom of this inning. Ball and a strike to Bishop. And that one never in danger of being in the zone. Floated up and in. Plate umpire Trina Comaford said something to Sanders about showing that ball or pulling it out of her glove. Flames need a base runner and then a few more after that. Swing and a foul back. Liberty's run came in the first. As the visitors, they had a 1-0 lead. Runners at second and third were unable to add to it. They haven't scored since. Count has gone full to Autumn Bishop. Amber, her sister, waiting on deck. And the payoff is rocketed to a diving Williams. It's short. She has made 3 or 4 of those plays. Fantastic defensive efforts to end the inning. Liberty does not score, and we move this elimination game on to the bottom of the 6th. It's a 6-run Cyclone lead.
It's a great venue, great event. Triple Crown does a great job. The kids love the region, and we get to see a lot of schools in a short amount of time, do some camps and some visits, able to get the coaches out to see us play while we're here.
It's a great opportunity for the kids. We've got more and more kids trying to get into college. I'm just happy that we're able to provide a venue, especially up here in the Northwest.
On we go to the bottom of the 6th. Cyclones leading 7-1 over Liberty. And Sammy Williams, who made that diving catch of the line drive from Bishop to win the inning, will lead off. She has homered and she has doubled and she's walked and scored a couple of runs, knocked in a couple of runs. In fact, let's go back and watch this final out in the top of the inning. Free is for me. I wouldn't pay for things. I might pay to watch Sammy Williams just take ground balls. I mean, the play she has made defensively, and she did have an error. A ball slipped out of her hands on the exchange. Looks like Liberty has some defensive changes.
Now in center field. Designated hitter will be down number 14, Ethan C.
So Sammy Williams will bat, looking for her 3rd hit. Little soft flare caught by Bishop, so she's retired quickly. DiMartino gets that first out. So Eric is now in center. Went from the DP to the center field spot, replacing Click. And C is now the DP. That rhymes. And here is Nearad, who homered back in the 1st, knocked in a run with a ground out in the 4th inning. So DiMartino has also set down 6 straight Cyclones. This is while Savannah Sanders has retired 7 straight Liberty Flames. This was the portion yesterday in both games where they just went from seemingly in control to wacky in some of the runs and situations in the game. It's a swing and a foul tip into the glove of the catcher, McFarland. One and 2 the count to the Cyclone center fielder. And she'll go down on strikes. So DiMartino has given up just the 1 hit since C has come on in relief, and that was a single to Talem Lewis, who actually will bat here with the bases empty and 2 outs. Cherez, who pinch ran for Lewis, will get her chance to bat. The pitch called a strike. Cherez has 4 hits in 21 at-bats on the season. Would not chase on that high one. Look at the Cyclone roster, and you don't have to figure where they spend most of their recruiting budget. Cherez, another California native, one after another. Fouled back to even the count at 2-2. Cyclones at one point this season were 9-9. And then you advance a little bit further down the schedule, they were 10 games above 500 at 28-18. Trying to win number 36 on the season. Get 12 games above 500. They're 3 outs away should they not score a couple of runs here in the bottom of the 6th. And the payoff off the hand, softly flared to short, caught by Robertson, inning over. Cyclones have gone down in order in back-to-back innings against DiMartino. This game goes to the 7th do-or-die tie in an elimination game for Liberty. Flames trail the Cyclones 7-1. On we go to the 7th. Flames need a big-time comeback to continue their season. After a 1-0 lead early in this game, Iowa State has scored the last 7. Flames do have the heart of their lineup. Amber Bishop, then Amader and Robertson. Savannah Sanders has retired 7 straight Flames. Amber Bishop did score the lone Liberty run when she walked back in the 1st. Liberty came into this event with the 3rd best earned run average in the country. They had a 6-0 lead yesterday, lost it, then regained the lead 8-6, lost that, and fell 9-8. And today it has really been all Iowa State unless they have some late inning magic here. And that one high, 1-1. Our second game in the winner's bracket, and of course the winner of the winner's bracket always in a great spot in any 4-team double elimination tournament. UT Arlington and Loyola Marymount. That one sent down the line and left. That's a fair ball. Amber Bishop will have extra bases and a leadoff double in the 7th inning. So the journey begins with a single step and maybe 2. The double from Bishop, and here is Jacqueline Amader. Flew in last night. She's had 2 hits and 3 at-bats in her first game in this championship series. Pretty good back control there by Bishop. Her body started to go forward, just held that bat back, and then stroked one down the line and left. Pitch called a strike. Looked like that may have finished a little bit in. Big rip and a miss from the Flames left fielder. Iowa State's starter yesterday, Emma Hyland, went the distance, even though she allowed 9 hits and 7 walks. It's a lot of pitches, well up over 150. Sanders trying to go the distance in this game. She has the benefit of that 6-run lead, but we'll see if a few more Flames base runners reach, how that may change things.
Joe will get him.
1-2 the count. Sanders looking for that first out, and that one is sent foul over near our first base camera. And a play was made. I think that one went right in her equipment bucket. Plate umpire is going to check that softball. That's the magic ball. Don't take that thing out of play. Count holds at 1-2 to Jacqueline Amader. Off her hands. She'll foul one towards the Cyclones dugout. That one rode so far in, she was committed on the swing, just hoping she wouldn't literally take one off her fingers. Flames down to their final 3 outs, but a leadoff double from Bishop has provided some hope in the 7th. Sanders ready with another pitch. Another one that is poked foul, this time near the Liberty dugout. Winner of this game will play in Game 3 against the loser of Game 2. Amader hanging tough and laying off one that rose up and out of the zone, and count evens to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sanders was on a roll with 7 straight outs recorded entering the 7th inning, but a double, and now she's really battling against Amader. And Jacqueline's fouled off several. Inside and low, and the count has gone full. So activity stirs a bit in the Cyclone bullpen as Emma Hyland has been working in case she's called upon. Boy, Sanders has just slowed down so much, though, between pitches. Maybe deeper into her outing. Stroke to left, dropping for a base hit. Bishop will be waved in. The ball gets by Ramos. Amader ran through a stop sign, and she is going to be safe at third, barely. Not sure if the ball got loose. Coach Richardson wanted her to stop at second. And that would have been unfortunate to make the first out at third base. So it is a 7-2 game, and now the Cyclones look like they're going to make a pitching change. Almost just had that ball rolled away, and then it kicked behind her. Hesitated a bit. Here's the throw to third base, and the ball came out. So Sanders couldn't finish it off, and the Flames still have life. In yesterday's losing pitcher, Emma Hyland, comes in. So Highland yesterday with the loss dropped to 18-10. She has some experience in saving games. 3 saves on the year and more than 184 innings of work. She's given up 12 home runs. And yesterday, Highland had given up 1 run through 4 innings. Touched up for a homer in the 5th. LMU scored 2 runs on 1 hit in the 6th. An error contributed. And then the Lions got 2 runs on 2 hits with another error in the 7th, but it was Highland's error that kick-started the frame. And there's our super fan from Liberty. Apparently he drove all the way from Lynchburg. And if the Flames cannot win today, it'll be a long trip back. He hasn't had much to cheer about in this game, but that has changed in the 7th. The double from Bishop. The single by Amader, her 3rd hit, and then she went to 3rd on the air by Ramos. And the cleanup hitter, Robertson, has 2 more hits today. So Amader and Robertson have 5 hits combined in the 3 and 4 spots in the lineup for the Flames. Ball and a strike from Highland or Robertson. Highland, a pitcher who really tries to work down in the zone. She left that one up just enough to be spanked, but foul down the line. Pretty good changeup as well, something that Highland features. She's ahead in the count to Robertson, 1-2. Eric on deck. So getting that first out for the Cyclones has been a bit grueling in the 7th inning. Sanders was really deliberate between pitches, and Coach Pinkerton made the change. This is the first batter for Highland, and she'll get the out on a swing and a miss. And the Cyclones 2 outs away from advancing, and Liberty has 2 outs with which to work. And here is the center fielder, Alexis Herrick, who's 0 for 3 so far. Liberty got a run in the 1st. They've scored in the 7th, looking for more. And much more for that matter. A Liberty team that played such a difficult schedule this year. 4 opponents they played still involved in supers. UCLA, Tennessee, James Madison, and Washington. They beat Texas A&M earlier this year when they were ranked. 1 of 7 games they played against ranked opponents. Coming off their 2 wins last year in the Columbia Regional in South Carolina. 40 wins, but disappointing loss yesterday. Both of these teams, for that matter, had disappointing losses. That's why they're here. And now Liberty down to their final 2 outs. Glove came flying off the catcher, Ramos. That's catcher's interference. She just knocked the glove of Ramos 7 or 8 feet in front of the plate. So an E2 and a catcher's interference, and another base runner for the Flames. Apparently that didn't hurt Ramos. She wasn't shaking her hand, but that glove went airborne. Recoil after that glove went flying off. Here's McFarland. She hit a bullet to left, but it was caught for an out back in the 5th. Pokes that one right by her first base coach down the line, and foul. So Highland got the strikeout to the first batter she faced, then the catcher's interference, a second error this inning by the Cyclones. And McFarland 1 for 3. fooled by that changeup. Find yourself reaching or feeling for it once you've committed the body and the hands on the swing. Two-strike pitch. Cut on and missed. And the Cyclones are not away from advancing. Couple of strikeouts for Highland. Coach Richardson wants to re-enter Griffin, I believe. She was pulled from a defensive standpoint, and then Reynolds walked and popped to third, but Reynolds has all here. Here's the strikeout again. Watch that pitch up and above the bat path of McFarland. So Griffin re-enters. Couple of hits and 2 runs scored yesterday in the 9-8 UTA win. She takes and looks at a strike at the knees. And Highland has come out of the bullpen trying to shut the door. And not a safe situation, but one I'm sure she would like to finish off because she very well may be the starter in Game 3 today for the Clones. 1-1 pitch tapped in front of the plate. Highland has to hurry. The throw to first in time to end the game. Highland could not make a play back to the circle that was much easier than that one yesterday, and it really hurt the Cyclones. Able to make the play to end the game, and it is a 7-2 Iowa State win. So Liberty 2 and done here in the postseason NIT. And the Cyclones will soldier on. Let's give a look at our final totals here in Game 1 today. The Liberty Flames did get a run in the 7th inning, but Iowa State 7 runs on 8 hits and 3 errors, 2 runs on 8 hits, 2 errors for the Liberty Flames. It was a game played in a little more than 2 hours and 16 minutes, but our final, Iowa State 7 and Liberty 2, so Liberty is done. Iowa State will play later today against the loser of our next game. That'll be UT Arlington and Loyola Marymount in the winner's bracket. That'll come up in about 30 minutes or so. So from TC Colorado Field, for now, I'm Brett Dolan. So long. We'll be back for Game 2 of the postseason NISC.